Hi YouTube family. Today we have a new topic, van life and health and personal hygiene. So basically we're going to go over some of the nitty-gritty about good personal hygiene, proper grooming, and healthy personal habits to have in any life, but especially if you're in van life or living RV life. So we hope you like this topic. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Always appreciate your feedback, and if you like this content, so that we know to produce more content like it. And of course, if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so and ring that little bell so that you know when we put out a new video, just because we can't constantly set a schedule because of health reasons. Hi everyone, so let's talk about washing hands. Now this is something everyone should know that they need to do. There are signs in almost every public place, bathrooms, etc. Basically, you always want to wash your hands before preparing or eating food, after using the bathroom. If you're coughing or sneezing or around somebody that is, especially if you know that they have a cold, you're going to want to wash your hands after handling garbage. And of course, anytime you touch any little animal of any kind, you're going to want to make sure that you're washing your hands. And that's even if you're not going to be eating right away, whatever it is, because what you don't want to do is what I just did, scratch my face. You don't want to be transferring any bacteria or viruses or foodborne illnesses to your eyes or your mouth, because those can cause lots of problems for you and make you very sick. Basically, if you don't have soap and water, a sanitizing gel that's alcohol based is a good replacement, at least in lieu of not washing your hands. You definitely want to do something. And definitely always make sure you dry your hands after you've washed them, either with paper towels or with the hand blow dryers in the bathrooms. Okay, so the next thing is brushing and flossing. So basically, ideally after every meal, you should be brushing at the very least twice a day. Basically, the brushing reduces the accumulation of bacteria in your mouth. And this helps prevent tooth decay as well as gum disease. Flossing minimum 1 time per day will help keep strong, healthy gums. And the bacteria that builds up and causes gum disease can actually go straight to your heart. So it's really important to keep good oral hygiene. If it goes to your heart, it can cause serious valve problems as well as other health conditions. It's been linked to diabetes and several other conditions as well. Unhealthy gums can also cause loosened teeth, which means you're unable to chew and eat properly and not get the nutrients that you really need. They recommend seeing a dentist, which may be difficult on the road, but it just depends on your healthcare as well. So check before you get on the road where you can use it, or if you're back home, make sure you're using it when you're at home, seeing your regular dentist every 6 months for cleaning and a checkup. Okay, I just also wanted to add that bad breath that can be controlled for a little while by using mouthwash or mints or gum, but comes back a short time later, and it's getting pretty evident that other people are smelling it and backing away from you. It could actually be an indication of a much more serious health condition that you really should see a dentist and not tardy or delay about it, because it can be an indication of something very serious. So please check that out if you're having those conditions. So we also want to bathe regularly. And how regularly is that? Well, there's a consensus among dermatologists that our society basically showers way too often, and actually has caused many skin conditions that we would have never had before. Basically, I'm going to be doing a future detailed video about this, but I'm just going to say that at the end of it, they can agree that 2 to 3 times per week or every 2 to 3 days you should shower, not every day, unless you meet certain requirements. So unless there's sweat involved. So either sweat from exercising, or you're in an area that's really high heat or humidity, or your work causes you to be sweaty or dirty, then you should have a shower every day. But take precautions to only clean certain areas with soap, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. So basically, you want to make sure that you clean your body and shampoo your hair. Your body is constantly shedding skin, and it'll actually start to cake up and cause illness if you don't. Your face should be washed on a daily basis, at least before you go to bed, with a gentle cleansing solution. You want to remove the makeup, pollution, grime, excess oil, so that you're preventing any breakouts and to keep your skin healthy as well. You want to use warm and not hot water. You want short showers. Use non-drying cleansers. That a moisturizing one is actually a really good idea. You don't want to scrub too hard when cleaning yourself. Your hands or washcloth are better than a puffer or a loofah sponge. And if you do use that loofah or sponge, you basically want to make sure it dries out completely after using it, and that you're replacing it every other month, because mold can build up and other bacteria, and you're going to be transferring that back to your skin all the time unless you are replacing it. But the best option is either your hands or a fresh washcloth all the time, because washcloths can be cleaned very readily as you do your laundry. And you also want to only wash certain areas with soap. So like the ones like your hands, face, armpits, groin, and butt, and the rest only with water. That'll help prevent drying out. And you also want to apply a moisturizer immediately after washing. That's it. So another area you might not think about is your nails. Always keeping them in trimmed and clean, in good repair, your fingernails and your toenails. Basically, it prevents hangnails, it prevents infected nail beds, and your feet that are clean, dry, and properly trimmed are much less likely to contract athlete's foot, which brings us to the other part. You should always be wearing flip-flops in any public shower areas to prevent that as well. Another thing is, if your feet get damp or wet, either from sweat or from wet from an outer source, you always want to change your socks and wear breathable, natural fiber socks. So whether that be cotton or wool, whatever you choose, make sure they're breathable, because you want to prevent any virus or fungal growth on your feet by keeping them damp all the time. So personal hygiene for women. Basically, the vagina can clean itself and no special care is needed other than washing the external genitalia. But you don't want to use douches, so that's really important. You can damage the delicate skin in the area. Now, menstruation time, you want to wash your body and your genital area as normal. And if you're using soap, rinse really well, because it can offset your pH levels and cause unbalance and further issues. You also want to make sure that you're changing your products often, tampons and sanitary napkins, minimum 4 to 5 times a day. Even more often than that, you want to prevent pelvic inflammatory disease. And you always want to make sure that you're washing your hands before and after handling a tampon or pad. The next area is cystitis, which is basically a bladder infection. So it's very common for sexually active young women, and you always want to make sure that you urinate after any sexual intercourse. That'll help flush out any of the bacteria that may be in the urethra and the bladder area. So if you're a breastfeeding mom, you want to make sure that you're preventing thrush, and if you're not breastfeeding, you want to make sure that you're preventing a yeast infection, whether you be a man or a woman. Some soaps and detergents can cause irritation to the skin, making infections as they disturb the pH balance. It's also very common when you're taking antibiotics that it disturbs your complete flora inside, creating a more acidic or basic area, and then you get an extra buildup of candida. So that causes the yeast infection. Another thing is you want to avoid tight or synthetic underwear, it's better to opt for a natural fiber like cotton. And it's also best to go commando at night and let everything air out. So personal hygiene for men. Basically, there's a buildup of secretions that's called smegma, and it can be found under the foreskin of uncircumcised men. So if you're in that condition, you want to make sure that you shower and you gently pull back the foreskin and clean it with water. If you do use soap, make sure that you rinse it very, very well, or you can be creating another situation which could be very uncomfortable. So that's all we have for you for now on personal hygiene. We will do a more detailed video about the couple areas that I mentioned, but it's really important for your health to make sure that you maintain good hygiene, even living in a van. And where you can't, well, we talked about showering every 2 to 3 days or 2 to 3 times a week. In the absence of being able to actually have a shower or an actual bath, you can always opt for baby wipes for those certain areas that we talked about using soap on. You can also use, if you have like oily hair, I like to make sure I wash my hair, but if you're having issues with oily hair, you can always use a bit of cornstarch or dry shampoo as an option. And you can also use cornstarch, baby powder in other areas where you're sweating, and that'll help control any odors as well as the sweat itself and damaging your clothes. So we hope you like this topic. Again, thank you so very much for watching.